Etat jnanamiti proktam. This is the statement in the 11th verse that we are studying. The second line says, Etat jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yat atah anyatha. This etat, this is called jnanam, knowledge. The opposite of this is called ignorance. So question here is, how come Lord Krishna uses the pronoun etat, which is singular? Because the mulyas, the values are 20. There are many. And etat jnanam. So etani jnanam, that is how it should have been said, isn't it? These are called jnanam. What is Lord Krishna says? Etat, this is jnanam. So, etat gunapugam, this samuha or this group of guna is called jnanam. So, etat, the singular, applies to the group of all the values. So, this is called jnanam. Opposite of that is called ajnanam. So, that is how ekvachanam. Regarding the pleased self, are we humans programmed to behave or pursue only inherited societal values to please ourselves? So we said that what we love is a pleased self. So how do we accomplish that pleased self? The question is it by following the conventional societal values the society follows, which means that when we conform to the society, then we feel comfortable. Is that how we get the pleased self? Or when we follow the universal values? So when do we experience the pleased self? There are different kinds of values. Basic values are universal values. Even the societal values or even the laws of the land, these laws also, all of them are ideally based on the universal values. So how to practice the universal values in our day-to-day life? The society has evolved a method of doing this or doing that. Is nothing but the way of practicing the universal values. So that is why, generally speaking, when we follow the values of the society also, then we are following also the universal values. However, it is likely that some values that some society may follow may not be universal. So it is possible that some primitive societies, some societies have some practices which may be violent to us, may look violent practices. And so, depends on what kind of values the society is pursuing. It is likely that the society also may follow discriminative values. They may discriminate one section against the other, depending upon the wisdom that they have. So societal values are based on the collective wisdom of the society. And whatever wisdom the society gets, accordingly they follow. It is likely that under certain conditions, that collective wisdom may not be in keeping with the universal values. It's possible. In which case, even if we follow the societal values, we will not be pleased. The only way we can be pleased is by being in harmony with ourselves. And that can be accomplished by following the universal values. Usually societal values and even the laws of land, all of these are generally based on the universal values. The constitution of a country, for example, is also meant to be based on the universal values. So universal values translated in a certain context. In the context of society, context of family, context of another kind of situation. So every situation may require an interpretation of the universal values. And therefore we find different rules in different places, different situations, which are supposedly the rules that are based on the universal values. But Swami, there are some disciplines they don't like it. So we may be asked to follow, come do this, that and so forth. So sometimes to us it may look like I'm not pleased following that value. But then it is not that we are always pleased following even universal values, as we discussed. Very often following that value such as honesty may bring about pain. And often it does, and generally it does. Because, I will discuss that, because for that we have to let go something. I have to overcome my greed, the impulse to be dishonest, to grab something. I should control that impulse in order to conduct myself honestly. So it is not that even following universal values will immediately give us happiness. In long term it will. In short term, it may not. But in long term it will. So anything will give us that pleased self if it is in keeping with the universal law. I seem to have some confusion yet in getting a grip on the pleased self. Pleased self means I am happy with myself. I like myself. I am happy with myself. I am comfortable with myself. And that can be when my conduct, either at the level of body, speech or the mind, we perform actions at the three levels: body, speech and mind. At one or more of these levels, if my conduct is in keeping with the self, the values, then I say I am comfortable, because I am comfortable when there is no conflict within me, when I follow my own nature. So the pleased self is when I am happy with myself, which is when my actions are in keeping with my own nature, which is same as universal values. So pleased self is when there is harmony within myself. That's when I am pleased. They said basically I am pleased when I am able to live up to my own expectation of myself. I always have expectations of myself. And when I am able to live up to those expectations, then I am happy with myself. And those expectations are also to follow the universal value. That's the basic expectation. What is real success in life? What is real success in life? Moksha is a real success in life. Freedom. Happiness. So what is moksha? Means freedom. Unconditional freedom is moksha. You do enjoy freedom, but usually it is conditional freedom. I enjoy freedom when I follow certain conditions. I feel free when I do a given thing or not do a given thing, etc. So today I do enjoy freedom now and then, but it is by satisfying some conditions. Unconditional freedom. Meaning that I experience freedom regardless of what time it is, what place it is, what condition it is. In any situation, dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukheshu vigataspruha. In painful situation also I am free. In pleasant situation also I am free. Sama dukkha sukha swastha samaloshtasmakantana tulya priya priyo dhira tulya nindatma samstuti manapamanayo tulya tulyo mitrari pakshayo. Describing a man of wisdom who is free. Sama sukha dukha swastha. In pleasant and unpleasant situations also, these points. Samaloshtasmakanchana. He is even-minded towards a clod, a clod of earth, a stone, or gold, even-minded. Tulya priya priya. When he confronts priya or priya. Desirable or undesirable. Tulya. Tulyo mitraya pakshayo, with a friend or foe. Mana apamanayos tulya, honor or dishonor. Tulya nindatma samstuti, whether it's praised or censured. So what is meant by unconditional freedom is, all these conditions arise in life. When these conditions do not affect my freedom, then I am free from the conditions. You follow? That's called unconditional freedom. It does not matter what the external situation is. And external includes body also. Whatever the situation is, I am comfortable, happy, pleased with myself, pleased with everybody. So that's a real success in life. In general, success should be equated to happiness. Because even what the world calls success, such as we say wealth or fame or power, which is usually called success, they say we want them not for their sake but for the sake of the pleased self. Meaning that I do not want wealth for the sake of wealth, I expect the wealth to make me happy. So also power, so also fame, or anything that we want in life. We hope to become happy as a result of achieving that. So even though the world equates the achievement with success, that being wealthy is success, being famous is success, being powerful is success, fulfilling a desire is success, achieving a goal is success. Meaning that the world equates success with some external criterion. Really speaking, we do not want any of those things for their sake, we want all those things for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of happiness. And therefore, true success is nothing but happiness. Success means happiness. What is true success? Unconditional happiness is a true success. It's called moksha. So real success is when you're happy with yourself. And you're happy with yourself, you're happy with everything else also. Atmanyevatma tushta. Lord Krishna describes a wise person as one who is happy with himself by himself. So real success is a subjective thing, not an objective thing. Although the world defines success in objective terms, in terms of what we accomplish, that you are a Nobel laureate, you are a successful person. Not that he is not successful. But this is how success is always equated to some external achievement. But success is a subjective phenomenon, not something objective. What is subjective phenomenon? Being pleased with myself. When I am pleased with myself, I am also pleased with everything else. Because basically I have a problem only with myself. And therefore, if I solve that problem, I solve all the problems. I don't have a problem with you. You become a problem to me when first I become a problem to myself. The problematic self converts everything in a problem. When I have no problem with myself, no problem with anything else. Manapmanavas tulyo mitrari pakshayo. Honor, dishonor, praise, censure, friend, nothing will displease me if I am pleased with myself. That's called happiness, that's success. And only Vedanta teaches how to attain that success. There is lasting success. Other success are fleeting success. That some achievement may give me happiness for a while with the diminishing returns. Because even if you become a billionaire, it's a great achievement. Become a billionaire. So that intoxication will last for a period of time. Billionaire, I have this stretch limousine, all kinds of whatever they have. How long? 6 months at the most. They become a routine. You look for another billion. This billion now has ceased to be of any excitement to you. And therefore, the capacity of anything to give you excitement is always limited. When the period of excitement is over, what next? The next billion, next position, next anything. And so the success that comes, even as described by the word, is always fleeting success. And then you find nobody is happy. Nobody is satisfied. As long as we are seeking satisfaction from something out there, the capacity of those things to make me happy is very limited, is fleeting, gets over in a short period of time. I find us again seeking another success. I find again from high there is a low. You know high and low? LSD something, you take this intoxicating drugs or something, you're in a different world. Like Monday morning, Sunday he was in a different world. Monday morning. Equally miserable. How high you were, that low you were. I imagine, that's how it was. So the things intoxicate us. Excitement, etc. is all So that way we are all in some way or the other seeking intoxication. Therefore, we always brand those fellows as addicts who take alcohol and drugs and stuff like that. Everyone is addict. But since all of us are in the same boat, we don't brand each other addicts. We are also equally addicted to something. And I don't even mean social media, that is very obvious. No, but basically as long as I am not comfortable with myself, I have to seek something outside. We call that person addict when that discomfort becomes so much that, he has to resort to something which is not acceptable by the society. But we are dissatisfied as long as that dissatisfaction remains within the boundaries of the social acceptance. We are addicted, but we are all right. So you don't send him to hospital and stuff like that, because we are in the same boat. But everybody is addicted. Because I get bored with myself. I can't be with myself. I need something. Freedom from all of that. It's called success. That is success. What's the point in attaining success which makes me more addicted and makes me desire more? No, that's called, bondage. So that's the real success in life, when you are happy with yourself. How to stay always in the present moment? How to stay always in the present moment? How to free our mind from past memories and future anxieties? It's true. It is very difficult to live in the present. Because the past has a tremendous influence on the present. We have accumulated lots of hurts and guilts from the past. What draws my mind away from the present and drags it in the past are all the hurts and guilts that are accumulated from the past, which are unresolved. So unresolved hurts and guilts, they drag my mind away from myself. Future anxiety of future, what will happen? Because that is Ishvara's creation. Uncertainty is part of creation. Now why is it that I don't know? That is what has made our life so miserable. You don't know what will happen next moment. And we just cannot be comfortable. We need to know what's going to happen. And I want things to happen the way I want them. Lord Krishna says, I'm sorry, that cannot be. And so anxiety, what will happen? What will happen in future? Will it be conducive to me? Will I like it? Will it make me happy? Will it be miserable? Or what will happen? You know why? Because I want things my way. I want to be happy. I want to save and secure. And therefore, the apprehension that I may not get what I want, I may not get happiness, I may not get security, I may not get what will happen to me. So unwillingness to face the unpleasant is what causes anxieties for the future. In present also, all kind of raga dveshas are there in present. All these fellows always keep on. My mind is always drawn from one to the other, to the third, to the fourth. It's rarely in the present. In the words of Swamiji, the hurts and guilt of the past, the anxieties of the future, and excitement of the present. That's how you describe it. So this is what takes our mind away from ourselves. And so, the way to remain present is to deal with these things. Resolve these hurts and guilts. To deal with the anxieties of the future. Deal with the raga dvesha in the present. That's what Vedanta is meant for, anyway. But in short, we have to learn or understand why our mind is not in the present. These are the reasons why it goes away in the past. He says here, my past memories is not just memories. It is hurt and guilt of the past that is what actually makes me sad. Sometimes it becomes a habit of the mind just to keep on wandering aimlessly. There also is that. That's called chanchalyam. So mind just aimlessly, they cannot stay in one place. So that also is a problem. So one problem, basic problem is my mind is drawn away from me by past, present and future. Second problem is that my mind cannot stay with one thing or one place. And so we have to practice concentration of mind. For that, the unsteadiness of the mind can be dealt with by practicing concentration, like japa, etc., or pranayama, yogasana. That can deal with the chanchalyam, the unsteadiness of the mind, the incapacity of mind to stay with one thing. It just aimlessly wanders, no reason. Sometimes without reason it goes away. Like the mother is feeding the child and child is enjoying the food and then comes a bird, it just runs away. No reason. He is enjoying the food, it still goes away. That's how the mind is. So for that, the practice of concentration. And is about the past, resolving the thirds and guilts. That hopefully will come in during the discussion. Future, dealing with the anxieties. Present, dealing with the raga dveshas. We have to deal with them, resolve them. Then only we can be, in the present. How do I balance my material, worldly goals and my spiritual goals? Always a conflict in pursuing these goals. Kindly need your views. So, in this question, looks like there is a compartment here. Worldly goals and spiritual goals. Why should we compartmentalize? Why should life be compartmentalized as worldly and spiritual? Make just one compartment, one spiritual life. Meaning that the worldly activities also should ideally be made means of spiritual goal. So first of all, understand what is the goal. To understand what we are seeking. What is the desire behind all the desires is for happiness. Or what Vedanta would say, moksha is a big word, but simple happiness, unconditional happiness. That's the only goal, there is no other goal in life. Even in material accomplishment, I don't need anything else, there is only one goal. What you call material goal, it may be wealth or fame or power or whatever it is, but that also is meant ultimately for happiness or freedom. So there is no other goal. There is one goal in life. And that's what, even though dharma, artha, kama are said to be goals, so perhaps the person who asks this question means how to balance moksha with dharma, artha, kama. Artha means pursuit of wealth and power. Kama means pursuit of entertainment, pleasures, and dharma means pursuit of, depends on how, heaven. But the intelligent thing is to recognize that the real purushartha behind all of this is only moksha. So I resolve that there are no compartments of worldly goal and spiritual goal. There's only one goal. Call it spiritual goal, freedom or happiness. That's all we want. Nobody wants material things also for their sake. So first this clarity. Then how to make our worldly life also a means of spiritual growth. That's called karma yoga. That's what Lord Krishna taught in Bhagavad Gita. So how does the worldly life become spiritual life? By the right values and attitudes. So values and attitudes. And mainly in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna teaches attitudes. Values also he teaches. But attitude. Our Swami would call Karma Yoga is yoga of attitude. What is attitude? Attitude of performing action in the spirit of worship. As an offering, as a contributor. What's the attitude? Receiving results as a prasad of the Lord. So, living so-called worldly life with this attitude taught in Gita, make it spiritual life. It is not life that is worldly or spiritual. It is attitude that are worldly or spiritual. I mean, leading a religious life with all worldly attitudes. I will perform elaborate homas and pujas and looking for I want dakshina, what is there, how much. So that is, that whole thing becomes only material. There is no such thing as material life. It is my attitude that makes the life material, or it can make the life spiritual. It is for us to follow the right values and attitudes and transform a whole life as a spiritual person. So how to do that? There is a conflict in pursuing these goals. Now where is that conflict? If you define spiritual life as doing some practices and worldly life as doing some practice, so if certain actions are called worldly and spiritual, then there can be conflict. Swami, I don't have time for japa, I don't have time for study, I don't have time for this, so I am not going to do this because I am required to perform these duties, I am required, so that is the conflict. So Lord Krishna says those duties also convert them into spiritual things by right attitudes. The only way to avoid conflict is to convert the so-called material life into spiritual life by the right attitudes. Make it worship. Lord Krishna says, perform your actions in the spirit of worship. Swakarmana tamibhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. The 18th chapter, Lord Krishna said that may your actions become archana, worship to the Lord. So it is possible to perform even worldly actions as a worship to the Lord. There are stories in all scriptures, in Mahabharata, there is a story of a butcher. Can you imagine butcher? He was a wise person, he had a spiritual life, imagine. In the same thing, there is a story of this woman, a householder. So there is one ascetic performing penance in the forest. And his penance became so severe. So one day he was sitting under a tree and a bird dropping came on his head. He looked up out of anger and the bird was burned to ashes. He says, wow, this is my siddhi, my power. Now he goes for bhiksha and goes to a home and they announces, Bhavati Bhikshante. Oh mother, please give me bhiksha. So a voice comes from inside, a female voice. Maharaji, please wait. So then this person has to wait for some time. He got irritated. Who are you to ask me to wait? You know who I am? This was a question going on in his mind. After a while, the woman came out. Says, Maharaji, don't think that I am that bird. Oh, wow. How did you come to know that? I am a simple householder. I am sorry that I have to keep you waiting. But I was serving my husband. And I request you to wait until I complete that. So that dedicated, even householder action made this woman an accomplished woman. It's It's not a certain action that is spiritual or material. It is the attitude. Meaning that we have the freedom to convert the whole life into a spiritual life. That is why our Swami would have the lecture, bringing Ishvara into our life. Bring Ishvara into our life. Connect everything with Ishvara. And so, then what we do becomes spiritual if you want. The only way to avoid conflict can be between two opposing things. If the material is opposing the spiritual, then there can be conflict. If the material is transformed into spiritual, there is no conflict. Isn't it? There is a matter of priority. What are my priorities? What is expected out of me? What is my duty? And you assign the time. But spirituality remains. The form changes. Maybe you may not be able to go to temple or do some chanting, do the japa, or maybe listen to Vedanta because you are called upon to perform certain duties that deprive you of a certain form of spirituality. The spiritual form of attitude and values nobody can deny us, So that way there need not be conflict between the two. Does it answer the question? I hope so, because they don't declare who has written the question. So I hope that person is here to listen to this. Sometimes I write the question and leave it for the public, the general public, for their benefit. In Tattvabodha, sadhana chatushta sampatti, viveka, vairagya, samadhi shakta sampatti, mukshutva, is mentioned as the qualification. Why does Bhagavad Gita not mention them directly? Why doesn't Lord Krishna talk about viveka, vairagya, same thing? He is mentioning them indirectly through Amayatvam, these values. Why doesn't Lord Krishna directly mention the fourfold qualifications? Nowhere do you find them mentioned. No scripture mentions them directly. These are culled from different places. See, the Tattvabodha is a prakaran, is a treatise of Vedanta. So what this treatise is, what they do is, they cull things from different places to give you an overview of the entire scripture. So many Upanishads are there, and so other texts are there. So the purpose of these Prakarana Grantha, or the treatises, is to give us an overview of the entire teaching. Therefore, they summarize the principles stated. So in no one place in the Upanishads or Bhagavad Gita will you find these qualifications mentioned by these names. But somewhere Viveka is talked about, somewhere Vairagya is talked about, somewhere Samadhi Sampatti, etc. are talked about. So what is mentioned in different places in the Upanishads is all summarized here in Tattvabodha. So not in Bhagavad Gita. When Upanishads also do not directly mention sadhana chatushta. They do mention. If you analyze, then you find that this is Parikshalokan, Karmachitan, Brahmana, Nirvedamaya, so Viveka, Vairagya are mentioned there. That's how you have to read in that. Shanto, Danto, Uparata. So then Samadhi Satka Sampati is mentioned there. So these are culled from different places and given to us in one place. That's the job that a Prakarana Grantha or Vedanta treatise does for us. So that when you study that, then you find the ideas familiar elsewhere. So, it's a teaching. When you are communicating to your disciple, then you address the problem that disciple has. That is most emphasis. Greater emphasis on that. In that process, you may also mention qualification. Some Upanishads don't even mention qualification. Ishavasana, Idam Sarvam, it just begins with, Mandukya Upanishad. All of them, they just begin with the Paramathic Upanishad. The Kathopanishad may mention, what is Viveka, what is Vairagya, elaborately. And so from there you have to understand Nishiketa, there is Vairagya. And he tells why. Na vitte tarpaniyo manushya, that a human being can never be satisfied by wealth, with anything material. Abhisaram jivatam alpameva. However long life you offer, it is still nothing compared to the limitless, etc., etc. So you can see Viveka and Vairagya in that manner. So word Viveka may not be used. Word Vairagya may or may not be used. But we see it, from what is described. You understand? So that's why we have to read in between lines. Could you explain the importance of doing one's own duty? Importance of doing one's duty. So I'm sure that you must have learned in Bhagavad Gita. See, the idea of duty, Swami was saying that, Swami, please talk about heritage, what is, Hinduism, whatever. So one of the important concepts or contributions of the Vedic culture is the concept of duty. And you will specifically find this defined and explained here. Obligatory duty. The idea of duty comes from a study of how the universe is an interconnected organic whole, where everything is connected to everything else. Not only by the mechanical forces that scientists explain that everything is connected. Newton said that every particle is, connected with the particle means attraction, repulsion, whatever forces are there. That connection is there at this level. But at the spiritual level there is a connection. Each one of us, not only human, everything is connected with everything else by the relationship of upakarya, upakaraka, meaning one helps and one is helped. Contributor and consumer. Everything in the universe is a contributor, at the same time a consumer. Meaning the whole universe contributes to me and I am a consumer, and I contribute to the whole universe, I become a contributor. Now as far as the universe is concerned, this is a programmed thing, and then everything in the universe automatically consumes and contributes. The human being is not programmed. And therefore we can use our free will to not follow this spirit of returning the favor. Being favored and returning the favor. It's possible that I can use my cleverness, my selfishness in receiving the favors without returning the favor. This cannot happen elsewhere. Everything else is designed or programmed to receive the favor and return the favor. And that is how there is a harmony in the universe. There is the only fellow who disturbs the harmony is human being. Because I can use my freedom to keep on receiving the favor without returning the favor. That I can do. Therefore, the concept of duty, that you must also join this setup or harmony of receiving the favor and returning the favor. Recognize that we are receiving favor. Must be explained to you from teachers, from parents and ancestors, from sages, from devatas, from any remaining, from nature. So all of these are constantly, they are doing things, that's how life can be sustained. Therefore, it is our duty to return the favor. This idea of duty comes from a necessity that we should return the favor. Otherwise we are indebted. We keep on accumulating debt, and if you accumulate the debt and don't repay, then you have to face the consequences. Therefore, we create unhappiness for ourselves when we do not return the favor. We create happiness for ourselves when we return the favor. That's our duty. Therefore, yes, we should perform the duty. Because others have performed their duty and we are beneficiaries of what they do. So we have to perform the duty to return that favor. It's important. No setup can run unless everybody contributes. Is not so? So you go to kitchen, this fellow do this, duties are given. In the classroom also, somebody sets up this, somebody sets up that, somebody sets up. If that is not done, then this village won't run, isn't it? Unless people contribute, nothing can run. Here we have some paid people so that we are spared of those things. But in nature there is no, elsewhere there is no paid people. Dogs and cats don't have any paid entities. They have to do things. And therefore, we have to contribute, participate. That's why, in the olden days, Swami used to say that that's why Ishvara has given us the organs of action. Organs of perception are for receiving, organs of action are for contributing. And so that's the importance for our own growth, for our own happiness and growth. The duty plays a very important role. It's called Karma Yoga. Performing duty is the same as Karma Yoga. Karmanyavadhikarasya means that performing a duty. The things Chanakya suggests, you know Chanakya? Everybody knows who Chanakya was? He was a minister of King Chandragupta. He created the king, he created the kingdom. He was a kingmaker, a kingdom maker. And most well known as a proponent of the science of politics. Chanakya. But the word Chanakya is used not always in a very positive sense. A person who is wheeler and dealer and conniver and conspiracy and stuff. That's how. So the politics is a dirty political. They always in India use it, the adjective dirty politics. But no. Chanakya suggested to king not something that violates the values. King has certain duties. The first duty of the king is to protect himself and his subjects. And for that you may need to do what you need to do. And so you may have to use the conspiracy, so meaning that you have to conspire among yourself and make sure that the enemies do not attack you, they do not take advantage of you. So So all duties of king. There's a whole Niti Shastra for the kings. And Chanakya has advised Niti, means all the duties of a king, they all come from Chanakya actually, among others. So we need not necessarily think that Chanakya violated the universal values. In a given situation, it will look like violation, but when you look at the whole context, then it is in its own place. If you look at the action of a surgeon, it may look like a violence if you just look at that aspect, but in the overall thing, even though the violence that a surgeon does has a contribution as far as the overall health is concerned. So we need not necessarily judge an action based on merely a limited context. We should judge a given action in the overall context. We also face situations that might be similar to what a king has to do. But ideally, duty of a king is to protect his subjects. Dharma and praja. That's what he is to protect. And for that, he may have to fight. He may have to, he may have to keep the enemies off guard. All of that is accepted. When you're fighting a battle, you think that you're fighting at this front and then you're fighting in another. So you may do all kinds of things there. Because winning the war is the goal there, because otherwise the enemies will destroy you. So that is not violating the value. Protecting yourself is also a value, and your subjects. And you will be competent to do that. So do you follow Chanakya's suggestion, do the duty of the job? If you properly understand what Chanakya teaches, I guess you can follow. Or walk away and be true to the universal values. I would not say that Chanakya's teaching necessarily violates universal values. How to follow the values in a given situation. That's a Niti Shastra. The whole Shastra or the scripture of code of conduct are taught. Is an interpretation of the universal values in given situation. That's called the code of conduct, that's called the duty. So, I'm sure you'll benefit from Chanakya by properly understanding, studying and understanding him. But I don't want to proponent of Chanakya at the time. I'm not promoting him or something. But at the same time, I don't want to dismiss him just because Chanakya is, that's what I'm saying. Therefore, study him and then you'll find a lot of valuable things there. If you think there's something violates the value, don't follow it. Our examination is over. Paper and all questions are answered. When we were growing up, we always had options, Answer and 3 from the 5, but there's no option here. So we would learn everything. We will conclude with one bhajan, right? Okay. There's something else that Swami used to like. We'll read one of those things. Jaya Raghunandana, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghunandana. Let's switch off the light. Jaya Raghunandana, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Raghunandana, Jaya Jaya Rama, Jaya Jagat Janani. जानकी राम जय जगत जननी जानकी राम जय रघुनंदन जय जय राम जय जय जगत जननी जानकी राम नव नव कोमल मेघ श्यामा नव नव कोमल मेघ श्यामा भयहरणा भद्राचल राम भवहरणा भद्राचल राम भवहरणा दशरथ नंदन हे परंधाम दशरथ नंदन हे परंधाम दशरथ नंदन हे परंधाम दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुराम दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुराम दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुराम दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुराम जय रघुनंदन जय जय राम जय रघुनंदन जय जय राम जय जगत जननी जानकी राम जय जगत जननी जानकी राम नव नव कोमल मेघ श्यामा नव नव कोमल मेघ श्यामा भयहरणा भद्राचल राम भयहरणा भद्राचल राम भवहरणा भद्राचल राम दशरथ नंदन हे परंधाम दशरथ नंदन हे परंधाम दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुराम दशमुख मर्दन श्री रघुराम जय रघुनंदन जय जय राम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. One pleasant duty you have to perform. No, where is that book? Is here? No, here it is, sorry, yeah. Not releasing the book, but re-releasing the book. It's a book that our Avinash Lingam ji has written quite a few years ago, and it seems to become so much in demand that this is the 5th edition of that book. Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati, a brief biography by Anne Avinashi Lingam. So that book. So first copy, Acharya ji, please. Calcutta Swami. But Calcutta Swami is here? No. Oh, he's there. I didn't see you. Okay. He's here. Normally he sits there. So I was looking for him there. I was looking for you there. This is called obsession, I'm just looking hiding the page, but you are hidden anyway. So even then also it was difficult to see. Swami, Viditatmananda. First find out they're here, then you announce them like, oh, there she is, yes. And then next, Swami Sharananda. And then next, so they can, otherwise Vidasan then takes 10 minutes, Sharananda another 10 minutes, so then they keep coming, That's all right, no problem. Then, that's it. Okay. Congratulations to him for doing such a great work. And then he has been translated in how many languages? 9 languages he has been translated. Look at that. Wow, great thing. Great contribution. Very nice.